Cowabunga, y'all. Captain Beardo here. Welcome to what is surprisingly going to be part 2 of TMNT Ninja Turtles Turtles Forever breakdown slash review. Again, I mentioned in the last video that this video actually turned out to be way longer than I thought and slash remembered. And it's a video I recorded a few months ago, so I broke it down to be more bite sized and actually more viewer friendly. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. So here it is.
Are you recording a video right now?
And damn it.
Speaking of like the 4Kids, it's interesting because rewatching this because I watched it on DVD and on Amazon Prime. They instead of it showing the 4Kids logo, it isn't the Nickelodeon logo because Nickelodeon did buy out. Well, Viacom did buy the Ninja Turtles from 4Kids, so that's why we get a little bit of a. This is a very well 4Kids movie, but it is now branded as a Nickelodeon movie, even though it wasn't directed or produced by Nickelodeon per se. But that's a complete side note. And now, like after we get the title screen, we have another panorama of where the turtles live, and we go into their lair, and we very well see that it is this world that we've seen since 2003, just how it's been progressing. And we see Splinter, funny enough, just watching TV, being an old rat. And I just love the TV that he's like the episode that he's watching it. It pokes fun of a sitcom, and it says one of the characters says, "I'm afraid it's true, Kincaid. I'm not your step brother. I'm your half sister." And then Splinter just goes, "Oh," which is just like the most like ridiculous plot twist that you do as a joke within this, and then the TV show just cuts to a news report from Channel 6 News, which is the news network that the 87 April O'Neil was a reporter of, which was just a clever connection there. And obviously they go, now there's a picture of these it looks like 4 green creatures staying here, and they look like turtles. And then they introduce Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo from the 2003 series, all coming in from sleeping, it looks like, or just relaxing within the lair because they've been cooped up, which I thought was just great. And then the scene cuts to Hun finding the 87 turtles being locked up and goes, "Who are these guys? These are not my turtles," because they're very well different. He like looks at their weapons. It's like way smaller than what he's used to. He's like looking at it. There's mutagen. Great scene. Love it. And you even get a foreshadow of Hun swatting a fly as he's walking into that room, which we later see the fly gets mutated into a giant fly that kind of goes on a rampage and they have to battle it. But really cool. Then we see the 2003 turtles show up and they fight the bad guys and they rescue their counterparts. Amazing. I love this interaction of them, and I love how the 87 series in particular turtles are mimicking how they did in the 87 cartoon. They do feel very well to be part of that world. There's a little bit of a line here and there that I'm like, now they didn't. I don't think they were that extreme of comedy based, but for the sake of this movie and the sake of showing the contrast of the series I, it works. Like Raphael makes jokes to the camera. He's talking to the camera. He's like, "False. We shower regularly." Or in the very first time that we see them, He looks at the camera and he goes, well, a lot of them actually go, pizza delivery. But Raphael does talk to the camera a lot, like at least 3, 4 times throughout this whole movie, kind of breaking the wall, as they kind of did within the 87 series, which was, I thought was pretty clever and really funny as a gag, because Hunter every single time he's just like, who are you talking to? He's always like looking, just like, what? Makes no sense. And then obviously, like, they get outside, the 8 turtles now get outside, and the 2003 series turtles are like, who are you guys? What's going on? But the 87, with their mindset, they're like, I'm hungry for pizza. Let's go get pizza. They jump down. And this is another, like, really, I know I'm still talking about, like, the early scenes, but this scene in particular really shows the feel of the 87 series and the merging over with the 2003 series, because the 87 series, they don't care about walking into pizzerias or anything like that. They don't care if they're seen, because in their dimension, April Neil does a lot of news reports about them, and they're very well known to the public anyway, so they can kind of just walk wherever they want. So they don't care about going into the pizza place. While top 3 series, they've been ninjas this whole time. Even after Alien Apocalypse and things like that, they're still very much don't go into the public eye, especially in broad daylight. And during the scene, the 87 series are just sitting down, having a slice of pizza, asking about jelly beans on their pizza, things like that, which is really funny because that's very much campy in the 87 cartoon series. But once they are sitting down, they see the police, and as a 2003 running Easter egg or running joke, the 2 police officers are actually Kevin Eastman and Peter Lorre. They're drawn just like them as they were when they created the Turtles and things like that, which I have always thought was a really cool addition for the 2003 series, that they consistently had Kevin and Peter as police officers just showing up randomly within every episode, or any episode that they're in. And then they sneak off. And I noted here that I thought it was really, really interesting how, in order for both sides of the Turtles to kind of start talking or want to figure out what's going on, they used Splinter as that one character that they go, oh wow, Master Splinter, and things like that. Like, it was amazing how Splinter is that one father figure for all incarnations, that no matter what, they're always going to go look at Master Splinter as that figure and go, oh shoot, you look different, what is going on here? Because the 87 series meets the 2003 Splinter, and they're like, what? Why did you get perm or something? Like, you look so different. And at that point, they were like, they actually care about what's going on, and they come to realize that they're in a different dimension, which I thought was amazing. And even throughout the whole film, Splinter is used as another dignifier of each one of the series, because in the 2003 series, they straight up just call Splinter father a few times within this movie, and the 87 series are like, they look at each other and go, father, what? But with the 87 series, they go, Master Yoshi, or, Master Splinter, and the 4 Turtles go, the 2003 series goes, Master Splinter. Like, they call him differently, but they still have that love, that respect for him. Even the 84 series calls him something different. They call him Master Yoshi, which I thought was like a really good way of showing who Splinter was within each incarnation to the Turtles, and kind of homaging to who he was, whether he was mutated from a rat into the mutant rat, or from a human into the rat. It's subtle, but very well done. And then throughout the whole movie, you also see a lot of the 87 constantly go, "Turtle power! Turtles forever!" Like different catchphrases like that. It's not until the very end that the Child 3 series is like, "Oh yeah, turtle power!" At the very end. But then they even get like annoyed by a little bit just from the 87 constantly doing that. And then a really cool thing that this movie did do for the 87 series is kind of make a mini episode that you can kind of piece in pieces of what's going on with their end, because they talk about how it was a Technodrome's fault for sending them here because of the transdimensional portal within the Technodrome, and like they're trying to get like the ooze from Shredder, which is really cool. And then when they go to the 87 universe, they have to save April O'Neil, which they even mention that she gets saved daily, which is the common gag within their TV show. But there's mutant pizza running after her, mutant bananas running after her. So just there alone, you can kind of see that the plot was for Shredder was probably mutate food or leprechauns, whatever it was, to mutate to get April O'Neil for whatever reason, or hold Channel 6 News held for ransom anyway. Which I thought was just ridiculous, and then they just go off and like save the day or whatever in that scene. But you can kind of piece that together, though, that Shredder got mutagen, because he got mutagen multiple times within that series anyway. He got mutagen and he was trying to mutate different creatures into doing his bidding for whatever it was, and then the Turtles tried stopping it in the Technodrome, and they fought and they destroyed the transdimensional portal, which brought them there. Really cool to kind of like get a mini episode out of it as well. And then every fight scene is just really well done. You got especially like as they're in the cave heading up to the Technodrome. Raphael calls the Technodrome a golf ball on wheels, a giant golf ball on wheels, which is that's pretty much what it is. But during that whole fight scene, even other fight scenes throughout the whole movie, you see that the 87 series never uses their weapons a single time. They use their weapons on surrounding elements around them or machines or whatever, but they never actually hit a foot soldier with their weapon or hit an enemy with their weapon anyway. It's always a rock, it's always the ceiling, the stalagmites, things like that, to hurt or trap Bebop and Rocksteady, things like that. Which I was like, okay, that is pretty much how it is. And then the Child 3 Turtles are like, oh, they're robots? And then they just start going ham with using their weapons. They're constantly stabbing the foot shoulders throughout and things like that, which is like, yeah, that's pretty much the two series right there. One question I do have, though, as I've been watching the movie, is I know where the series takes place for the 2003, because it's supposed to be the conclusion to it. And Casey Jones and April O'Neil are married, because throughout the movie, you can still, like, they show up and they're together holding hands, things like that, or kissing at the very end of the movie. So you know that this does take place directly after, especially because they have Splinter with them, and Splinter was throughout the last season of Back to the Sewers. He was he was split up into data bytes, and eventually had to be brought back together. So you can very well know that this movie does take place after that. However, for the 87 series, I have no clue where this would take place. All I can guess is it takes place before Michelangelo, or actually, first off, we can conclude that it takes place before the Dark Skies series, the 87 series, because their drawings are not like the Red Skies, because the Red Skies they were more straight cut instead of just rounded and things like that, and they were a lot more darker. So we can already take out that it's not the end of their series. So it has to be earlier, way earlier, within the 87 series. But all I can really conclude that just takes place before different countries around the world decide that nunchucks was too much of a weapon, and Michelangelo couldn't use nunchucks anymore and use a grappling hook instead, which was like season 3 or season 4. So I can conclude that this takes place before then, but even still, it doesn't really tell you where the 87 series is coming from anyway. But just like that 87 series does, though, you can watch any of the episodes out of order. It doesn't really matter because the plot, besides where the Technodrome is, that's all that the plot is. It's just where the Technodrome is. Which bothers me a little bit that I can't decide which season this movie would take place for them, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. And that was kind of like a side thing, because even at the very end with the 84 Turtles, we can obviously tell that this takes place within the very first issue before they actually confront the Shredder, because at the end they go, Shredder, face us, and then Shredder appears and things like that, because in the very first issue they kill Shredder with a bomb. Actually, Shredder kills himself with his own bomb, but semantics, they technically do kill him within the first issue. So by having Shredder appear right then and there on that rooftop, you can already just say, oh yeah, this just takes place before the actual meeting up of the Shredder and them taking on the Shredder within the very first issue. So that's just one thing I've had with in this that kind of is okay, and like the 87 voices being kind of off, but I digress. And now, continuing with the movie, I love how the 87 series Shredder just goes, oh yeah, I'll just bring in this version of the Shredder. He has to be since the Turtles are crazy, he should be crazy too, about equal. Then he immediately regrets it as soon as they revive the Utrom Shredder. They go, this guy's a lunatic, he's insane, which I thought was really crazy. And then as that Shredder is upgrading that Technodrome, they constantly go, oh, a lot of this stuff is silly. A lot of this stuff, the Utrom technology is way more advanced than this technology, because like it's just like actual flat screens for the Utrom, but compared to the 87 where it's just like a big screen TV that we saw from the 80s. And that's like, it's just really funny like how vastly different it is. And obviously Shredder turns from the Technodrome from a golf ball into a bowling ball, which is kind of like, oh, that's more edgy, that's more that world anyway. And then they get a mutant army because they got hands on the mutagen and things like that, which was really cool. And then I noted down here, I'm kind of jumping back and forth with different topics just because there's a lot as being a fan, there's a lot I want to talk about within this film. We see the 2003 garbage truck, or the turtle truck anyway, get ran down by the Hun, and then Hun shows up with that mutant guy. Well, the guy that was mutated from the very first scene that we saw of like that fly, because he had his bulldog or whatever dog that was on the leash, and he got mutated. Well, he mutated into that dog, and we see him here. And he gets run like we never see that turtle truck again. So I'm assuming that once it got ran off like that, it just kind of was like, well, we don't have that turtle van anymore, and we're just going to use the 87 turtle mobiles later on anyway. But we can see that Hun is starting like the mutant revolution and things like that, which is really cool. Yeah, actually, I have it here in my notes now. '83 series calls Splinter father. '87 calls Splinter master. Then the so then '84 calls him Yoshi. Hun turns into Slash, which if you've seen the '87 series, you would know that Slash is like the fifth turtle or the evil turtle, or if you've read any of the comic books, you know that Slash is that evil turtle. But with Hun turning into it, it's kind of they never mention that he's Slash or anything, but you can very well tell that he's supposed to become Slash at this point once he got mutated from holding the mutagen in his hand, and after the fight of down the sewer and Donatello and Raphael kicking him multiple times and things like that. So he got mutated from the turtles, becoming one of the turtles, which he absolutely hates. So he pretty much hates himself at that point, turning himself into pretty much Slash. And the reason why I say he's Slash is because if you look at his belt buckle, it is the Purple Dragon's logo, but it is golden and it is a backwards S. So, and typically you can associate Slash with the backwards S, as you can see within the '87 series and other incarnations. So Hun pretty much does turn into Slash. And he meets up with Shredder, and that's how we get the mutagen become within like the mutant army and things like that. And everything just gets upgraded. The robots even get upgraded from cartoonish to actual like stealth ninja robot things. But I also noted that a good Easter egg here from the '87 series / the Secret of the Ooze movie is Tokka and Razor. Because surprisingly enough, Tokka and Razor was introduced within Secret of the Ooze to be replacements of Bebop and Rocksteady because the company couldn't get Bebop and Rocksteady to be in it. So they created Tokka and Razor. And then the '87 series, as it was going on, they actually brought in Tokka and Razor as villains for the Turtles to fight within their later episodes, things like that. And then here, we finally see Tokka and Razor kind of being mutated within the army. And we also see, like, Tiger Claw, like the early version of Tiger Claw from the 2012 series, kind of be introduced here a little bit. Like other mutants like that, which I thought was really cool to like see like that their mutants are based off of other mutants that we've seen in the past, or would be mutants that we see within the future later on in the road, which is always really cool. And the mutant army does start with Razor, which I've always thought was really cool, nicely well done on their end for doing that. And then Hun, because he's so frustrated, destroys the 2003 Turtles, and that's when they get teleported back to the '87 world in a way. And that's when they save April, and they have to get the anti-Technodrome gear, which is just explosive throwing stars and roller skates. Just, and pizza. Sure. '87. That's that logic. Very well for you guys. And then Shredder steps into the Technodrome and wants to see all the dimensions, and he gets really angry about Turtles existing. And his whole plan at this point, moving forward, is to destroy all Turtles. Well, because there's so many Turtles, and then he eventually does start destroying, say, like the more things, and the Turtles need to confront. The 8 Turtles need to confront him. They actually aboard the Technodrome because Splinter's in there because Shredder has taken Splinter, and they all want to save Splinter, and they go up there to save him because they're his father, their master, and things like that. So Splinter is huge, and I am missing like a little thing because before that, they realize what Shredder's doing, and they realize that they took Splinter. So they go to the Purple Dragon's hideout to start taking their items, their weapons, and things like that. And that's when the world starts erasing from the Technodrome. If you did like this video and you want to see part 1 and part 2, if you, for whatever reason, skip part 1, this segment probably doesn't make any sense, but okay. Yeah, so please subscribe these for these these videos, and if you like anything Ninja Turtles or anything like fandom based, subscribe, ring that bell, and like this video if you do like this. If you do like this type of videos, I plan on doing a lot more, especially now that it's January. And yeah, and I guess comment down below what kind of videos you want me to see, because if you're seen a few of my other videos, just let me know which ones you like the most. And I mean, there's some that have quite a few views, so probably gonna reproduce those ones, or I mean, not reproduce, but produce more types of those videos. Slash go back to other videos. So without further ado, feel the beard and deuces.